you've been playing for DevilDriver for the last 5 years, right?
Yeah,
And please tell
that's
us,
it.
how did you join the band back in 2015?
It was very circumstantial. Actually, I attribute it to Mark Lewis and both Mark and Dez. Basically, Mark knew of me from Chimaira, and I guess at the same time, pretty simultaneously, Chimaira was breaking. We were splitting ways at the time, and it was not yet announced, but kind of under wraps that John was leaving DevilDriver, and it kind of just intertwined circumstantially that Mark had done several of the DevilDriver records. He had come out and saw a Chimera Christmas performance, and we kind of met that night, and he was, I guess, kind of impressed by my playing that night, and so we kind of stayed in contact, and that, I guess, was just one of those moments that helped him want to call Dez and be like, dude, you need to consider this kid. I know up against a lot of other insanely good drummers that were up for the possible gig as well, which was an honor that I got the gig. So, I mean, obviously, and the rest has been history, but it's been a blast for sure.
So it was basically being at the right place and the right time.
That's the definition of A, being a musician, and B, just my career. That's been a lot of those moments.
All right. The last album, the last DevilDriver album with you on drums is Dealing with Demons. This
Right.
one was released like 3 months ago, right? Back in October.
In October. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I got the chance to listen to the full album, from start to finish, and in my opinion, is one of the best DevilDriver albums for the last maybe 10 years,
Wow.
because I'm talking as a fan here, and no, 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 this is no intention. There is no meaning to trash this job, but in a way, I felt like Winter Kills, Beast, and the one right after the last kind words. What's the name?
Pray for Villains.
Yeah, that one. And those three albums were kind of like uh, predictable. Like it
Okay.
was like more of the same once again, over again. But when this album, Dealing with Demons, I I feel like it's like a brand new DevilDriver. It's not maybe as fast as the previous albums, but it's still heavy and really catchy. And how do you feel about this new album?
Um, Man, I feel that I mean third uh it's our third attempt at a record. It's our second attempt at a full length our own album as the new lineup. We had Trust No One, and then we did the Outlaws record, which was covers, which was a fun thing, but per
Yeah,
se that wasn't a our album kind of album. It was just kind of something cool to do, which was fun. But so
yeah,
I think what you're hearing, so Trust No One, in my opinion, was we had to come out guns blazing. We got new people in the band. We got to kind of show, hey, DevilDriver's not done. We're just getting started, and with a new lineup. You know what I mean? So kind of had to give the fans this, like, okay, well, let's see what these guys can do. So it was kind of just really just trying to just pull out a lot of tricks and this and that. And I think now what you're hearing is a more honed in version of what the new DevilDriver is to come, utilizing Neil and myself, and the new writing. And then it's kind of built through all of our relationships through the last 5 years. Now we've been together for 5 years, so there's a lot of personal friendships, things have been building. There's a lot, even more trust, and just all of this. So we kind of know what each other, where we want to go, and we feel comfortable adventuring into these different avenues. And I think that's the sound you're hearing now. You know what I mean? And I think the evolution is awesome. And like you said, with Dez's performances, you know, if I had anything to say about the things that you said as a fan, I'd be unbiased because I'm in the band now. But I do believe even from Trust No One to now, I feel his comfort level and his tenacity. He's been more comfortable to be even more ferocious, and like I feel like we're developing songs for him to just knock out of the park. I think Neil and I are able to. Mike already knows how to lure Dez in to write a good song for Dez. You know what I mean? Neil and I, obviously, we have not worked with him for that long, so we are learning all of these go-tos and things that you can provoke him to sink into his style. And I think you're getting a lot more of that now as we write these records. And I think you're going to hear even more on that on the second rendition of Dealings with Demons 2. You know what I mean? So this album was really cool to make, man. I got to say, in a day and age where you a lot of guys don't jam in a room like old school, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of demoing and this and that, passing back and forth. Yeah, it's not as personal, but we got to do that on this record, which was cool. We did the demoing and we were all together. Yeah, we got in a room for not long, but 2 weeks, and we honed in my parts, so that my parts were hooks, like the guitars are hooks, kind of like old Pantera, you know what I mean? The drums are hooks. Everything is a hook. Gojira, Mario's drummings, that's a hook. Totally. And we wanted to get that out of my drums rather than just show how many gnarly cool things I can do. Let's like create parts that you repeat and, you know, do all the cool shit, you know what I mean? So I think that's what we're hearing in these newer renditions, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Because, you know, everybody knows how fast you can play drums, how crazy you can get on the drum kit. But in this new album, you can get to explore a new phase of Austin as a drummer. You know, more groovy, more in the vibe. You know, writing for the best of the song, not instead of writing to be the fastest drummer ever. Right? Do you agree?
That's it. That's exactly what we were going for, and that's what Steve wanted. Our producer, Steve Evitz, that's what he wanted for my particular performance. He's like, you know, he's enjoyed working with me, but we talked about the same thing, and I wanted that too. You know, I was like, I want to feel like when I go into the studio, I'm so confident on the parts and I know them so well. That, you know, we could just concentrate on how good is my performance on the takes rather than like, did you like that random fill that I just did there? You know, like all that stuff's always cool. Studio magic, right? But like when you're really confident, you go in the studio and you know 90% of what's going to happen, you hear it in the performance. And that's another thing. He loves to get that great, that live sounding. That's you on the drums. He's just known for that. As far as recording goes. So he was adamant on that kind of stuff. So that was really cool. And that's another huge part of it, you know?
Since you already have 5 years in the band, how can you describe working with a well-known musician like Des Fafara?
Oh man. I mean, he's relatively, you know, he knocks it out of the park. I mean, we create the material and he kind of just does his thing on it. And, you know, he locks away for a while with it and just gets in his zone, and then he'll send us something and we'll be like, wow, you already did all that. And he's just been doing it for so long, you know what I mean? And but he does compliment us constantly and just is like, man, this is inspiring stuff and making me, like you said, write even more creatively. And just, you know, if you paint a good picture musically for a singer and you put it in the right format, you know, which, like I said before, Mike has been doing for so long, and then Neil and I, when we write rough stuff, we kind of know his wheelhouse now too, and kind of set him up for the knockout, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's been an honor and a pleasure, you know, to work with a dude like Dez, for sure.
So is he like easygoing? Is it easy to work with in the studio and on the tours?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Easy money. But he's, you know, yeah, man, he gets out there, he's business, and then we get back in the bus and it's all chilling, you know what I mean? All laughs, you know?
I got the feeling that Death of Fire is really professional, like a very serious musician in the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been doing it for so long that there's moments to be serious, and then there's moments to kick back. But yeah, when it comes to the music, he's very serious, and you see that in his person,
Hmm.
for sure.
All right.
He takes this very seriously. It's his, as most of us do. I'm more like, you wouldn't know it so much because I'm just so laughy and this and that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I hold the most serious to my heart. It's the thing that's carried me along in my life, and I'm serious about the product that I put out on an album and live. You know what I mean? Everything after that is pretty laughy.
Hmm. Hmm. You got the chance to play some Cold Chamber songs on previous tours, right? Maybe like Loco, Fiend, and maybe some others. I'm not sure. But how do you
Just,
feel about playing these legendary new metal anthems from
I
this
mean, obviously, it was
history?
yeah. I mean, it was cool, definitely cool. I mean, I grew up and I listened to Loco with my dad, so long ago, and on long drives, and I remember just listening to Cold Chamber stuff. So of course that's been awesome and an honor, to play some shit that you were listening to with your dad on a cassette tape, before CDs. Like, that's pretty nuts, for
How
sure.
old are you, Austin?
I'm not that young anymore. That's the thing. I'm 37, but when
All
that
right.
came out, think about when that came out. It was what, 95?
97, actually.
The first Cold Chamber.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
So when I thought the first Ozfest was 96, though. No.
96, yeah. They
Okay.
went they played the first Ozfest before
Ozfest
the first album
before
to
the
be
album
released.
came out.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah. That's history
nuts!
right
Dude.
there.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so you love playing those songs, and did you get the chance to talk if you are gonna play maybe more Cold Chamber songs in the future?
Possibly. There's always those talks because, you know, that's obviously, you could get, if you were to say, hey, we're gonna play more Cold Chamber, then maybe more Cold Chamber fans come out and your audience gets even bigger. Of course, that's a smart
Hmm.
thing, right? And I think, yeah, I mean, that sounds right to me. You know what I mean? Sounds cool. I'm just down to play whatever, basically. You know what I mean? That would be cool.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't
So
see why I wouldn't do that.
so far only Loco and Fiend.
That's it. I really would want to play Big Truck, but I think people would
Yeah, that's a
be
good
stoked
one.
on that. Yeah, that's a great one.
All right. So any plans to do Outlaws till the end volume 2? What can you say about the recording experience of such a rare cover album?
I mean, I could say I never expected to do a all covers record. Let alone, I mean, I think I only did one cover ever before this, and that was with Chimaira, and that was just random. Not many people even heard it. It was like a Soundgarden song. But
Rusty
actually
Cage,
recording,
right?
yeah, you know your stuff. But yeah, we did that. I never thought that I would do a record of all songs, let alone all outlaw country. So that
Yeah.
like threw me back. I remember they were talking about that in the back one day, and I was like, "Cool, yeah." I mean, I'm about whatever, but I just didn't. I don't know why. I just didn't really think it was going to be a thing, and then it is, and I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, we're doing this." And yeah, I think it was really cool and an honor, and it just a bucket list thing that I didn't know was a bucket list thing. Like, I've got to do so many of those random things.
Who picked the songs? Des?
Des and Neil and I agreed with one song, "A Thousand Miles to Nowhere," which is Dwight Yoakam. But my dad, he passed away in like 2012. That was like one of his like favorite country songs ever. So it's pretty amazing that after he passes away, I get to do a cover song in metal form of his like favorite country song, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah,
So that's
because
my favorite one on there because of all of that.
yeah, because the regular thing for a metal band when they do covers is to put out an album of covers of other metal bands, like maybe bands from the 80s or from the
Right.
70s. Not the regular thing is not to release an outlaw country album, so that's rare.
Right.
But
Exactly. Yeah.
it worked out very, very good. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I think it's so weird. Like, I think that record was great, and I think other people liked it a lot too. And it was cool because we got to have all these guests on there. Like, I can say that, I've been a part of a song with all these guests on it. Like, it's just like blows my mind. But other than that, I think everybody just did such a good job. I think it's so weird how music works these days and age too. It's just like, yeah, I mean, obviously we would love to play more of that stuff, but how do you go and play some of these songs without the actual guest on the song? There's only a few songs that there wasn't a guest, so it's kind of hard to play some of those live unless you're just going to play half the song, maybe. I don't know. But
so, is there any touring plans to promote Dealing with Demons in the next year already?
From what I hear, yeah, I got to be pretty tight-lipped about it. But I know that everything that I've been kind of looking at starts later in the year. I mean, which does with pretty much anybody I talk to in the industry. It's like the COVID thing obviously took us all out for the year. And then now it's going to be a thing where, like, what does that look like? You know what I mean? And especially for metal, I'd hate to be negative about it, but how all this is going, the social distancing, I truly believe it's going to be a little more difficult for the metal genre because of pitting, and they know that it's liability. It's going to be a little rougher for venues to look at us first, if you will. So I think it's going to be interesting no matter what we want. You know what I mean?
All right.
But I think nonetheless, we'll be out there. It doesn't matter. I mean, when it's definite. We'll be out there eventually. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's talk about Chimaira for a while. All right. Okay. Despite Crown of Phantoms being a great album, I actually love that album. I'm one of those people.
Thanks,
despite
man.
being a great album, why do you think it wasn't well received by the fans?
Because that band is, it's not just Mark. It's Rob. I mean, Rob. It's everybody in that band, but really, at the end of the day, I think Rob was a huge influence on that band. Wrote just a ginormous part of it, And sometimes I wasn't even receptive that well. I mean, he got dudes like Andals and Kevin. A lot of people. I didn't really get any bad feedback, to be honest. Not even from like the diehards. Everybody said, I handled it well, and stuff like that, which was a great, thing. I grew up listening to Chimaira. It was an honor. Rob's a fantastic human. He's the gentleman of metal. I've always deemed him that, Yeah, everybody was good to work with. It was another one of those honors. But yeah, I just think overall, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Second renditions of bands is a hard thing to pull off. You know what I mean? I think even we've taken our time. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of people I'm sure that still want to just see John playing drums. You know what I mean? And but yeah, that's kind of one of those things you don't get to pick. And furthermore, I don't believe at the time that that band. We didn't have good management going on. There was it was more of a sinking ship. It was more things, in my opinion, than just not the overall receiving of it, but mostly because of that. I think Emil and Rob are unparalleled, or two different time zones of writing. You know what I mean? To where I think with DevilDriver, we were able to Neil was able to more hone into the sound level of DevilDriver. I think Emil, although a virtuoso guitar player, I think we kind of just more or less wrote a new version of Chimaira. Like it was just not.
Kind of, yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it was a great record too, and I guess I'm just biased, but I was excited too, of course, and as I am, and whatever I'm writing, you know what I mean? I just love creating with people, and it's just a beautiful thing, and sometimes it doesn't work out the way you see it or whatever, and it's all good.
Mm-hmm. And what leads to your exit? Why did you leave Chimaira back in 2014?
It was a mutual, like I said, it was a mutual thing, I believe. You know, um, although it seemed all, I feel like as it was happening, it seemed a little more hectic on the internet and stuff. I think at the end of the day, it was really just a mutual, like, you know, the business, just a lot of things were lacking, and we couldn't, none of us could afford to move on, kind of thing. It was just, it wasn't panning out. I don't think it was anything personal other than things that needed to happen didn't. And that's all I could say. And sometimes it's just how it goes, and it's all good, and life moves on, right?
Yeah, and you are actually in good terms with the guys in Chimaira because you played the reunion show like 3 years ago, right?
Right. And that's the thing. I'm never on bad terms with people. I can't hold grudges. I believe certain things just happen, and I try not to get in the thick of it. I look at scenarios like that, and I'm just like, hey, I'm just one person out of 5 of us, and if what I have to say isn't gelling and we're not all able to figure it out, then that's just what it is. Like, I'm not gonna spend time being furious about something like that. You know what I mean? So, sometimes you come up with the answer and sometimes you don't. But one thing I know for sure, it's not going to be all dependent on one person. So,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Last question, Austin. Were back in 2015, were you afraid to join DevilDriver? You were jumping into a new lineup situation again, like you were in Chimaira, and since the Chimaira thing didn't worked out really well, you thinking to yourself, oh, great, here I go again, jumping into a new lineup in a big band. Is this gonna fail or is this gonna work? How do you feel?
to be honest, like I tell everybody, like, I started the drumming and doing all of this music stuff because I loved it. And I just was a guy in a garage jamming with his friends, and all of a sudden that group of friends, we got into a band that people wanted to listen to. And then that went for, it just all started and went much further than I anticipated, all for the right reasons. So anything that came after that was just a more icing. So it was just all an honor. I never looked at it like it's all like all this weight of the world's on my shoulders. Of course, like there's moments where you feel like, oh, I got to deliver this, but it's not for like the hope of everybody just, falls in love with it. It's just that I want to attribute something with these people that I'm working with. I want them to feel what I'm doing. And then from there, I know that means you guys will feel, because if they're confident with it, then we can proceed with it. And then it's going to go where and do what it needs to do, And I just took it as another humbling and just awesome time to try to do what I love once more, and hope for the best, and hope everybody loves what loves the input I have to put to the music, And I think I've been lucky with these chances, and just it's been a blast of a ride, from not ever expecting to do this. It just was something that was fun, and now it seems to be serious, but I don't take it too seriously. I do, and I don't. I love it, so I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you go thinking like, dang, how many times have I played that riff or that beat, or these things start happening once in a while. You get the writer's block or whatever, but then I just try to remind myself of the kid in the garage that didn't care about any of that, and just play it again, and try not to think about it this time, and it always just aligns, it falls into place. Things fall into place, if you do things for the right reasons, you can't fail,
Which are your drummer heroes?
I've had so many, but recently I've retapped back into an album that I have kind of put in into the dust for a while, but I forget how much it actually develops me. As crazy as it is, and I don't even really drum like this. But Flo Monnier from Cryptopsy. There's a record I listened to so much. Most people can't even listen to it for 5 seconds, but I listened to the whole record front to back so much in my early 20s. But it was called None So Vile, and it was like just mind blowing. The parts that he puts together and the recording shitty and the whole thing, you know what I mean? But I understood it and what was going on. I was just mind blown away. But there's so many. I have so many drum heroes and so many moments of like great playing. I'm more about the great part out of people. Like I don't have so many, what this guy is my guy on every record, you know what I mean? You know, but there's a lot of people that play interesting and cool parts that I love, and anything like that I'm influenced by, you know what I mean? But yeah, certainly Joey in the first Slipknot and in the next one, you know, stuff like that. Pantera, you know, that's probably my favorite all time metal band. But like Vinny's a different player. Vinny had a lot of creative stuff, but a lot of what you're talking about, just the perfect shit for the part, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Mario is another guy like that. Mario can play whatever he wants at any moment, but sometimes he's just like the easiest, most just perfect groove, and you're like, you know, at any moment this guy's just destroy everything you do on the drums, and like it's 5 seconds, you know. So he's
sometimes less is more on drums.
That's like it. So I'm trying to learn that move on the new DevilDriver stuff. That's what I'm trying to show people, that I could kick back and just play for the song, you know.
And you did it on the last DevilDriver album, for real.
Thanks.
Like for a second I was like, did they change drummer again? Like because this sounds like really different from what Austin used to do, like, you know, in Chimaira and all the DevilDriver albums. But no, it's the same guy. So congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. That's a huge compliment, because that's what we were going for. Sorry, it's throwing this trash away. But oh man, yeah, that was harder than it might sound. Because it is hard to play in metal. It's you hear so many things that are just mind blowing that you're like, man, I gotta get better, or this and that, and now it's like I call it, no, you know what, I want to play my age. I want to play like seasoned, and I want to play for the part, and I want to play for something anybody could bob their head to, right? So now we're gonna write stuff that more people are gonna be drawn to, because it's a little more adaptable, you know what I mean? Still great and heavy and the cool changes and this and that, but timely. There's a time for it, not the whole dang song, you know what I mean? Like let's reel it in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this new album, Dealing with Demons, sounds like a whole new chapter for DevilDriver's history. So let's hope for the best.
That's a huge compliment, man. Thank you.